All right, well, I guess we're gonna go ahead and get this thing started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Josh Gossard. I'm the team leader at the Frederick Keller Williams Market Center, GFC, KWRC, Greater Frederick County. I'm joined today by your regional director, our regional director, John Newman. Everybody knows John, right?
I'm looking at my dongle.
Look, what you do with your dongle is your business. We're not, you do what you want with it. So, if you can't tell already, I like to keep things casual, fun, interactive. This is a safe space. There's no dumb questions. There's no right or wrong answer. We're just going to kind of have a conversation. I imagine none of you want to be preached to, correct? It's not Sunday, so preaching's not my thing. But we'll have a casual conversation, have some fun, have some dialogue, and just kind of dig into this. John, anything you want to add?
And Josh and I have never taught this together before, so this is going to be entertaining to say the least. But no, I'm an area director for the Maryland DC region.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said
That's
regional
okay.
director.
It's okay. It's
Maybe next.
You're fantastic. I've been in real estate since 2003. And I've sold well over 1,000 houses. Like I'm not just like a management role. Like I actually have a 7th level, 6.5 level team. The team built up about 200 transactions a year. And I love the game of real estate. So I love the game that we're playing. And this course is, I think, instrumental in helping me build multiple businesses to the level. So I'm excited to share. We're going to have some fun with this.
Yes, we are. Who's familiar with the 6 personal perspectives? Would either of you like to share what you know about or what you think about, or?
I think it was, all about mindset
Okay.
and kind of like in a lot of the mindset things that we might have heard multiple times, but it's so foundational and really good to have that reminder about, helping your business and your life in general.
Yeah. Back here, I saw another hand back here.
I've just heard people. I've been with Gary fairly long time, and it's just everybody picks and chooses, and it's like it's part of the lexicon basically. And it's I haven't taken this in so long that I forgot some of the fundamentals, and so that's why I'm here. Because I've taken this a couple times before, but I feel like you get a different version of it every time.
Absolutely. You grow and you experience different things and you hear things differently. You have a different instructor that communicates it a little differently. So absolutely. Thanks for being here. Anyone else? Does anybody else have any ideas about 6 personal perspectives? Okay. Is there anything specific that you want to take away from today?
Yes.
Okay.
How to break a limiting mindset. Because I am
I got it.
Thank you.
I'm leaning toward a skeptical way too much in my life.
Okay.
Before starting anything, I will come up with 10 ideas why it's a bad idea and not do anything.
All right.
So I want to open up that.
So you want to eliminate limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that. That is actually one of the steps. That's one of the specific steps. Anything else?
That's why it's not applicable.
We want to eliminate limiting beliefs. Anything else we want to get out of today? All right. Well, we're going to do that for you. We are going to help with that. So I want to kind of dig into the content list. John, you got anything you want to add?
I mean, just dive deeper. And so when you ask the question about how do you remove that? Like I'm aware that I have it. And now how do I break through like there?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
All right. We're getting some more people in here. That's fun. Thanks for being here, guys. It's okay. I was almost late myself to my own class, so it's fine. I get it. All right. So everyone knows who Gary Keller is in the room, I assume. He's the founder of our company, and he's found that what differentiates those who achieve at the highest level from those who don't are these series of mindsets, these series of steps, right? He says, when you interview the very top people and ask them what their biggest challenge is, invariably they will tell you it's mindset. keeping it strong, focused, and positive amid the many challenges they encounter every day on their way to the top. I've heard the saying that mindset's a lot like bathing. It works best when you do it every day, right? And has anyone ever like forgot to put on deodorant in the morning? And like you get halfway through the day and somebody's like, hey, like your good friend's like, hey, get deodorant. Sometimes our mindset's the same way. Sometimes we get stuck in this mindset phase and we don't even realize we're in this phase. And it takes somebody else to say, hey, dude, you have a lot of limiting beliefs, right? Sometimes it takes someone else. So that's one of the things I love most about the Keller Williams environment is we all show up for each other and we all speak the same language. Like the gentleman in the back who had disappeared, he used a word I've never heard before, lexicon, right? So I'm assuming that that's like the language inside of Keller Williams because on the KPA, my vocabulary is a little lower. So I'm assuming that's like the language inside of KW, which it helps us kind of help each other move forward. What do you like with it, buddy?
I think I found a dongle.
All right.
That's my learned that.
So I learned lexicon. He learned dongle. Look,
I didn't know that was a real.
one of the benefits of teaching is you do learn a lot, oftentimes more than the students in the room. So we're already ahead of the game here, John.
The other thing on this is interesting. I was in a mastermind with Gary Keller, and he was talking about business and things that he's done in business, stuff like that. And he said the most fascinating thing is a lot of people consider me to be a visionary type person. Like I'm a big thinker, and I come up with all these brilliant ideas. And he said, truthfully, he said, I'm not. He said, I've become a master at finding models. I've become a professional modeler. And that makes me seem like I'm a visionary person. He said, everything I've done has just been about finding a model for how to apply it, whether it's my business, my life, my health, my wealth. Like it's always been about models. And he said, and I was like, wow, like that to me, that was like, oh, you get someone like built a pretty successful business. And they must be so brilliant. And he was like, I'm really not that smart. Now I obviously probably downplaying it, but it's like I just submitted myself to finding models. And I think this is one of the foundational ones that we'll go through.
Yes, I love that. And so before we get too much
sharing the wrong screen.
Further into this, I'm curious, like, who do we have in the room? Everyone in here is real estate agent, yes?
Mhm.
I'm the back. I'm the back, okay? No, you're right. Lenders, okay, kind of the same, kind of.
I'm the operations person.
Operations person, oh, thank you so much for being here, thank you. Those of you who are realtors, how long have you been in the business? 1 year or less? Okay, 2 years? 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, how long? 4 years? Like 4 years?
That is like over 15.
Wow, 15 years. Okay, so you've been around a while. Awesome. How are you guys feeling about the market right now? Yeah, I saw this meme the other day. It's like, how would you describe the word or describe the market, the real estate market with one word? And I was thinking, well, yeah, that was the word that comes to my mind often. So you're seeing all over the place. What else? Be honest, remember, it's a safe place. I got my tattoo showing my head backwards. It's a safe place. Sporadic. What else? Hard. Thank you. Who else feels like it's hard? Yes, that's a safe space. It's a challenge, right? It's a challenge. Here's the thing though, when the market is hard, when there's a more difficult challenge in front of us, the bigger the opportunity is, right? The challenge is the opportunity. I want to share a video real quick that they released at Mega Camp. It plays into my pirate t-shirt. You're probably thinking, what the heck is this pirate thing? I want to play a quick video from Keller Williams, and I want to have a conversation after this and kind of dig into this a little bit with everyone. I think I'm going to play the video. Thought so.
So I'm curious why you want that up. What is hard? Like somebody says it's hard, what is hard?
Because there's so much work to get the same goal.
All right, Alana?
Is that what we think by hard?
Yeah, I think that, navigating expectations,
Isn't
I
that
think
fun?
emotions are running really
I've
high right
played it
now.
from-
It's like things feel harder than they need to be.
Alright, so is what we do hard work?
We're not neurosurgeons, but we are navigating people's,
It's right here.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Feels like it is hard work due to the amount of resources we put in, effort, time.
I think I got it from here. Thank
So this
you.
is a rhetorical question, so I don't really have an answer, but I know I'll tell you, like. Josh will probably cut me off at some point in time, but anytime I teach a class, I just go off from these bunny trails and stories, like I can tell a lot of stories. So I had a pool put in during COVID. And that first couple of months of COVID, things were challenging. I don't know what this world is right now. Even today, I'm not sure exactly what world we're in. But, when they did the dig, they brought in like a backhoe and they dug out kind of, and we have a square pool, a rectangular pool. And, it's a decent sized pool, 20 by 40. And they dug out like, kind of like the rough shape of the pool. So it's about 9 feet deep. They kind of dug it out with this backhoe. And then 5 guys got inside this hole and then hand dug the rest of it. So like the backhoe kind of gave it the rough shape. And then 5 guys got in the hole and literally for hours took shovels and picks and other tools that I don't know what they are and shaped and finished the rest of the pool. And I remember thinking at the end of the day, I watched them and then came out and asked me if they wanted the beer afterwards and stuff like that. And I was thinking to myself, like, wow, that's hard. Like what they're doing is hard freaking work. And then I thought to myself, but is what I'm doing hard work? And I kind of got into this self-actualization of it. I'm like, the difference between what they do and what I'm doing is at 5 o'clock, their day's over. They probably go home, spend time with their family, maybe have something to eat, and they wake up tomorrow and they probably have another hole in the day. And it's the same repetitive thing day in, day out, day in, day out. Whereas myself, and if you all have been in the business long enough, you've had the real estate nightmares. Like where you literally like in the middle of the night, you have a real estate about a transaction, about a closing, about something that's going on. Like our business almost seems like it's 24 hours a day. Like the brain never, I don't know about you all, it's just, hey, my brain never shuts off. It's very, very hard to shut it off in this business. And I was thinking, okay, what they're doing is physically hard, like hard work. What we do, I don't think it's physically hard. I mean, for the most part, we're probably relatively stationary. Like we're not like out there like shoveling holes, but mentally it's very, very challenging. And I think it goes back to our limited beliefs. So when I hear, and I was in the business for a while, so I was in the business in 2000. I got my license in February of 2007. Like what a great time to get a real estate license. And I thought to myself, yeah, that was hard, but it wasn't really that hard. Because I got into the business at a time where it was hard. So from like 2010, 2000 and whatever, basically 2020, 21, it's actually easy. I actually felt like, I almost felt like we're way overpaid for what we do, to be completely honest. Like there's no reason that we should have the ability to make the kind of money that we do.
Speak for yourself.
Now,
Speak for yourself.
Now I've always been a listing agent. So I've always, strong listing agent. I haven't worked with buyers other than like an occasional family member or something like that since probably 2013. So for the last like 7, 8, 9 years, I have to put a listing on the MLS, sit back on the weekend and wait for my offers to roll in. And on our average sales price, that's like a $10,000 commission gross. Like, did I really work that much to earn that? And if I'm being completely honest with myself, I felt bad for the agents that were working buyers. I was like, you all are doing this part. You all have to actually like call me. Is this house still available? You're dealing with all the multiple offers. When did the agent call you back? What I was doing was actually relatively easy.
John, I'm sitting here biting my tongue. Like, I'm just going to see where he goes with this, but I have to challenge you. I got to challenge you because he gets the listing, he puts it on the market, sits back and waits for the offers to come in. Who has sorted through 10, 15, 20 offers and try to help a seller pick the best one? Is that fun? Is that easy? Does that come with its own stress, its own problems? What about the listing? Where did it come from, John? It didn't just magically fall in your lap.
Well, that part I think was
So that was hard at some point.
Yeah.
At some point it was hard.
Yes, until yes.
Baloney.
So
You earned the money you deserve.
Right. So here's we've never done this before, and we can do this all day. So my counter argument is it was hard in the beginning.
There you go.
Until I developed the right systems and processes where I knew what I had to do to consistently generate a stream of listings. So then it wasn't hard anymore because I had already built the habits and built much like the guys that I woke up every day. I knew what the guys that wake up and had to, go to the next pool. It was a consistency over time. And I just had to do a couple of key things every single day. And if I did those things consistently, it actually wasn't hard. It actually became easy. Now,
So what you're describing, who's read Robert Kiyosaki's Cash Flow Quadrant? Anybody read that one? I know everybody probably has read Rich Dad Poor Dad. The Cash Flow Quadrant's really good. Do you remember the story he tells about the village in Africa when the two guys were given the contract to bring water to the village? Remember that? Well, so he gives the contract to two people, and the village give the contract to two people. One guy's carrying buckets. He's carrying buckets of water into the village, and so he immediately is bringing water into the village. Then he's doing this, and then his son becomes engaged. He's like, "Hey, can you help me carry these buckets? We got to bring more water in." And he's bringing in more buckets. The other guy that won the other contract just disappears. He completely disappears for 6 months. No one knows where he goes. He just vanishes. He comes back with equipment and he starts digging holes. He starts digging trenches. And what he does is he builds a pipeline. So he builds a pipeline. It took him longer to bring the water to the village, but then once the pipeline was dug and in place, he didn't have to carry buckets. So I would challenge each of you is kind of what John's talking about. I would challenge you as you go through your day, as you live your life, I want you to start asking yourself, are you carrying buckets or are you building a pipeline? Which are you doing? Either way, it's going to be hard at some point. You get to choose your hard.
well, I mean, I think ultimately, when you say the word hard, it's so like I have 3 kids. That's hard. Like, trust me, that is really, really hard. As I got more out of production and moved more into a leadership type role, trust me, that's 15 times more difficult than selling houses. I wake up multiple times or wake up in the middle of the day. So I guess I'm dreaming in the middle of the day. And I say, oh my gosh, I just need to go back and sell real estate because that's actually easy. So hard is always, I think life is always going to be hard in some place. And I think that's where the growth happens. The growth happens when it is hard. And so we should embrace the suck, embrace the hard, because anything in life worth having, you've heard this before, is probably going to be somewhat difficult. The question is, are you willing to go through the difficult times to get to the other side, which I think is going to lead right into this video.
Yes, perfect.
And we have a clicker.
We have a clicker.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So Josh has keyed up this video, which I think just leads right into everything.
When you were a kid and you still had a kid's imagination, did you ever make your own cape, get on top of your roof, put your fists on your hips, look out to the horizon, and Before you jumped, you take your deepest breath and shout, I can sell this house. Of course not. Even I didn't do that. And I have a real estate superhero for a father. Didn't dress up like a realtor for Halloween either. I wish I had now. But instead of being the cowboys or astronauts we dreamed of, we all grew up and became what we are. Now that's a good thing. It's also a shame because way too many of you think of yourselves as just real estate agents. What if instead of millionaire real estate agent, Gary titled it, How to Be a Pirate? Did you really think all those books were about real estate? You were reading instead of feeling. They were about life, grand adventures, fortunes to be had, stories about chaos and opportunity, strength and vision, leadership and daring exploits. They were maps to sail the world, to explore and discover, clues to solve mystery. They were autobiographies and memoirs for Gary and everyone he ever met. They were thrillers, comedies, epic tales, and legends, conquering heroes. Now those are things you make a cake for. Entrepreneurs can fly. We're 40 years old this year. We went and grew up, but we have to keep dreaming like children because children aren't afraid to fall. They aren't afraid to go to sea in a storm. Their imaginations are wild because they haven't learned to fail. They catch their breath in excited gulps and never stop moving. They cannonball in pools and they pretend to be pirates, just like entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs don't love chaos. They love seeing an answer in the chaos. We build businesses worth owning and lives worth living. While others simply play real estate, we bend the rules to the direction we want the wind to blow. We command the horizon. We lead an industry by going our own way. We train the best to be better and to come on board. And we leave competitors in our wake. We sell, we buy, we change lives. Tears of joy, shouts of victory. The dreams we had melt with the dreams of our clients. New keys, new doors, new lives, new memories. And every one of us will be a part of the stories they tell. The life we've chosen is a celebration of the journey from treasure to treasure. It's an attitude you either have or you learn from reading a book you thought was about real estate. At Keller Williams, as a leader, as a team builder, as a leaver of legacy, you will be so much more than a real estate agent. There's an entrepreneur inside every one of you, an incredibly wealthy entrepreneur. Because as Gary tells us, relationships are the currency of wealth. And you're part of a culture like no other, with a network like no other. In Mark Twain's book, Life on the Mississippi, he remembers his childhood when he says, now and then we had the hope that if we lived and were good, God would permit us to be pirates. Who ever heard of a pirate asking permission? Hoist the stolen mustache.
What did you guys hear? What resonated with you? I get excited. It has a much different effect when you're in a room with 10,000 people. So just, if you get a chance to go to make a can for family reunion. But I'm curious, what you put out when you watched the video?
Like the lack of, like, letting fear hold you back. You know?
Thank you. Anything else?
How sad it is. I have a 7-year-old that looks just like that kid.
Okay.
Puts it all in perspective a little bit.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
He wrote on his thing, what's he want to be when he grows up, set the realtor. This year, and I go, geez, that's gross. Gross. But what he meant to say is, I mean, that.
Really? Well, I want to go backwards. What's gross about being a realtor?
No, he's not doing that.
So why not though?
Oh, God. I work so much harder than the peers I have in similar financial industries that do basically what I do. Sitting at my skill set is such that if I had it over again, I would have gone into financial world. They have a similar business, and it's a much better, it's a much better lifestyle. So what I wish is for a better lifestyle, not necessarily more money and more success.
All right, so it tells me, can save space, we talk a little bit.
Sure, why not?
I don't think you're asking yourself the right question. I don't think you're asking yourself the right question. The question I would ask myself, if I were you, is how do I obtain that lifestyle in this arena? People are living that lifestyle in this arena. There's the stuff we're gonna go over today, we'll kind of show you the roadmap.
We do ask internally the
Finding-
question a lot, so it's not the first time that we do.
All right,
That's
so
what
then-
we're driving.
I love that you're asking the question. I'm gonna challenge you to use the models that we're gonna show you today to start finding the answers. Because you can have it. In fact, I believe you can have it, you can smoke those guys, right? You can have both. And that kind of ties into exactly what I want to talk about from the video. Does anybody else hear anything they want to share, or feel anything they want to share from the video? Okay, perfect. Because I talk with a lot of realtors every single week, every single day. And I feel like the majority of people left their 9 to 5 hamster wheel to come into real estate, and they had this vision, this dream of what they were going to do in their life. And somewhere along the line, they got knocked around a little bit, beat up by the market or the pain in the rear end clients, and they stopped dreaming. They just traded the 9 to 5 hamster wheel for this real estate hamster wheel. We've lost sight of why we got into business in the first place, right? Because something tells me you didn't get into the real estate business, just be harassed by clients all day and be a slave to your telephone. So that's kind of what I'm hearing, yes? Some degree.
It's the nature of not being able to shut it down. And I think I've gone through, and we all do, go through these ebbs and flows of work and in life. I'm starting to shut down work more than I've ever done in my life. And that's a really weird feeling. I took a week off the other week.
Wow, good for you. That's amazing. There's an agent in my office, I'm not comparing apples to apples, I'm just saying some people do it. There's an agent in my office, she's the top solo agent in our county. She takes like months off at a time. Like, so it can be done. She's doing like 30 million a year, taking months off at a time. Okay, you know what's weird? See, hold on real quick. I want to go back to what you said, the story you told. Don said those guys digging those holes, they get to go home and they turn it off. They're done. And he's right. Those people do. The guy that writes their check doesn't. The guy that signs that check, he's the guy waking up, right? So there is a cost that comes with being the guy or the gal, right? There's a cost that comes with that. But on the exchange, there's a different lifestyle that comes with it.
Yeah, I think it goes back to, the fascinating thing is, like, this is an aha that I said. Matt says he was able to take the week off, and we're like thinking like, wow, that's amazing. Like, how, it's kind of sad when you think about it, that like, wow, you got to take a week off, like, and when you talk about like we traded our 9 to 5 jobs for another hamster wheel, like it almost sounds like we're crazy. Like, hold on, let me trade in this hamster wheel where I have 8 hours a day, maybe 9 hours a day, for a hamster wheel where I have 12 or 15 hours a day with a lot more uncertainty. So the upside has to be much greater for me to want to trade one in for the other. What I can tell you is that my wife, and as I was especially earlier in the business, and I was, slave my time, like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I need to provide high level service. Like I pride myself and I'll always be available for you. I missed, this is young. My kids are like 2 or 3. I may have missed like a party or something like that because it was like, okay, well, somebody wants to do this, somebody needs me. And my wife looked at me, she was like, no, you're not doing part of it. She was like, there's nothing that you're doing that's really that important. She was like, I think you just like to hear yourself talk. No, I was like, okay, there's definitely truth to that. And then a funny thing happened. I had a younger agent that was much younger in age than myself. Actually, checked. So he was in his early 20s. And he was like, why do you always, and when I noticed that he never answered his phone. Like I called him, he just didn't answer his phone. I'm like, why don't you answer your phone? And he was like, well, because if I answer the phone, I'm on your schedule. But if you just send me a text message, now I have control of that. And I was like, that's kind of fascinating. And he was like, yeah. So I honestly, I don't answer my phone anymore. I stopped, like literally, I stopped answering my phone. And now some of you would say, that's absolutely crazy. Like, how can you not answer your phone? Well, I have on my voice message, like, please send me a text message, and I'll get back to you. The funny thing happened, and I think it was, I haven't, like I said, if I know who it is, I'm expecting a call, yes, I'll answer the phone. But for the most part, I don't answer my phone, but I will call people back. I didn't get any voice messages. Like, you can check my phone. I don't have any voice messages on my phone. Like, there was a time 15 years ago where you have to, like, I had to clear out all my voice messages and all. Nobody leaves voice messages. What they do is they text me and say, hey, John, it's so, it's so-and-so, could you call me back? Here's what's going on. And when I realized I gained so much time back because I don't have, like, the people that are trying to sell me health insurance or all of the telemarketers. They don't send me the text message. Like, it's only people that actually want to connect with me that actually send me a text message. But what I learned through that is we do have the ability to put systems in place to deliver an amazing client experience and not feel like we have to be, like, feel guilty that we're not available at 7 o'clock in the evening. For the most part, on the weekends, because I'm a listing based, I'm not answering my phone on the weekends. And I would have agents that would call me up and yell at me. Now, I would tell them we review offers on Monday. That's just the system that I put around it. All offers were reviewed on Monday morning. My phone number was not in the MLS. You couldn't even get to my phone number because my phone number is not in the MLS. Now, I'm not saying that this is what you should model your business off of because it's your business, not mine. But I didn't want to miss things on the weekends. So I just put a system in place around that. And I would have agents that would call me up and yell at me and literally tell me, you can't do that. When you decided to become a realtor, you took the onus of, like, this is how it's supposed to work. And I'm somewhat of an antagonist in everything I do in my life. And I said, true. Like, who made the realtor rules that said that we have to be on our hands for a real 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Like, I didn't read that book. Like, nobody gave me that book that says, hey, by the way, this is what your life has to look like. The question is, what do you, and I think this is where Josh is going with this, what do you want your life to look like? And then how do you build systems and process around that to play by your own rules? That's why we got into this business. We didn't get into this business because I wanted to work well for me. Because I wanted to work by somebody else's rules. I got into the business because I wanted to make my own rules. As long as everybody went honest and better thing.
I had a question. Was there a burning point that you got to that made you change your system? Because I'm sure you weren't just one day.
I know exactly what it was. I can tell you exactly the moment. I had two shifts here. So I had an out-of-town buyer that was coming in from Germany, military relocation. Was not sphere of influence. It was whatever lead generation source I was using at the time. So this is going back a little while. And I picked her up from the airport, showed her house. It's like I gave her like what I consider to be a 5-star service. What neighborhoods do you want to consider? Blah 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 blah. And there was one neighborhood that I thought would match her needs, and she said absolutely not. Before I relocated to Germany, I lived in that city. And I'm not going back to that city because I had a bad experience, blah, blah, blah. So I eliminated the subdivision that I thought would meet her needs. And I was with my family in Ocean City. This is when it changed. And she said, hey, John, I just want to let you know that I'm not going to be needing your services today. And I'm like, what's going on? She was like, well, I'm actually at the home builder that's in this community that she said she absolutely didn't want to look at. And she said, I'm actually writing a contract right now. And I said, and I walked through, like, here's all the reasons why you want representation, blah, blah, blah. She was like, if you want to get in the car and drive here, then come and drive it. And I'm like, I'm on vacation with my family. I've done everything I could for you. you could give two, in this moment, it's how I'm feeling, you give two craps about me. And I'm supposed to basically, I have a choice to make. Either I leave my family for a day on my vacation, drive 2.5 hours away so that I can get a check. Now what I end up doing, I end up falling sales person out of the NAR and I worked it out. But I was like, in that moment, like I was in a fetal position on the floor. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this the rest of my life. So I had to make some very, very quick decisions of how am I going to want my business to operate. Because I got into this business to run my own business. And I need to make some critical decisions of what I want my business to look like, because I'm not going to live my life like this, just wondering, like waking up every day wondering, okay, who's like stab me in the back, or I have to basically, I don't like. That was a shit. Like I remember that moment, laying on the floor in the condo in Ocean City, and like, I don't know if this is how I want my life to look. So then I started, okay, well, how can I change this? So I started when I was working at this time, I was still working with buyers. I knew at that moment, for me to take more control, I probably needed to shift more towards listings. However, that was a long-term process. So if I'm working with buyers, how am I going to set expectations? Here's how it's going to work. And what are my expectations of what it's going to be like to work with me? And then I get to choose whether or not you can, like, I don't need to take you as a client. If I focus my mindset in abundance and I have too many clients, so I focus my time on lead generation, it means that I can disqualify you if you're not willing to play by the rules and the standards and the expectations that I'm setting. So there's a couple different shit there. A, how do I move more towards listing? B, if I'm working with buyers, how do I get to the point where I can basically say no to you? We're just not a fit.
Have you guys seen that meme where it's like, raise your hand if you want change, and everybody's raising their hand? And then it's like, raise your hand if you want to change, and no one's raising their hand. Well, because change can be painful, change can bring fear, change can be challenging. But the thing is, it's like, when it's time to change, you'll know because the pain of the change is less than the pain of staying the same, right? So if you find yourself in some type of pain right now, whether you're not generating enough leads, or maybe you have, like, you're not living the lifestyle that you like to live, like, just ask yourself, is the pain of change greater than the pain of staying the same? And if it is, that's okay, right?
And I'll tell you,
And if it's not, it's time to change.
and I'll tell you another thing. At this moment in time, my kids are probably, I have 3 kids. This time I had 2, so they were probably 3 and 2. My father was a business owner. My father was a concrete business, so he owned the concrete company. And as a child, I never saw my dad. He was always working, always working, always working. And I didn't have a close relationship with my father because I never saw him. He wasn't a part, like literally, he wasn't at my basketball games, wasn't at my baseball games, like just because he was always working, and I resented that. And when I'm dealing with this situation, laying on the floor in Ocean City, all I could think about was, oh my gosh, I'm going to be that person, and my kids are going to wake up. And there's a chance that my kids could wake up when they're 20 years old and realize that my dad wasn't there for me. So my why actually forced the change. It wasn't just me. It was because it was attached to a bigger purpose behind it. And it was like from that day forward, like I don't like ask my kids now, I don't miss their stuff. I have 3 kids now and 2 back then. I did miss their things. I wanted to make sure that came first and business came second. And I had to figure out the system processes to bring the 2 worlds together. But I wasn't going to live my life like that and have my kids say, yeah, I don't know my dad, he wasn't around much either. But you know what? He made good money and bought us nice things. Because that didn't mean anything when my dad made good money and sold his company and bought nice things and had boats and jet skis and all these things. I'm in my 20s now. I really don't care about the jet skis and the boats. I have my own life. So
All right, so we're going to jump in 6 personal perspectives. So number 1, commit to self-mastery. This is I'm going to nail it. I'm going to master this. Step number 2, commit to the 80-20 principle. I'm going to focus on my big rocks. Gary Keller and Jay Papasan wrote a book about this. Everybody read that book, right? Okay, perfect. We're going to come back to that. The one thing, move from E to P. This is probably my favorite one of the 6. I'm purposeful about breaking through my ceiling of achievement. On the way in this morning, I shared with Alana and John, E to P lesson, move from E to P lesson. When you're checking your map app, make sure you're checking the travel time for the time you're actually going to be traveling, not at 8 o'clock at night. So just be on the lookout for that. Make being learning based the foundation of your action plan. I'm willing to be taught. I always pursue learning. We're going to dig into this. And the big question I'm going to ask at this point is, are you learning for learning's sake, or are you learning for earning's sake? That's a big shift we have to have around our education. And then for you, Senya, we're going to remove your limiting beliefs. We're going to unlimit your thinking for your and your success. And then be accountable. It's mine. I own it. I want to jump into a exercise real quick. Following the video, I want to ask you, how would you change? What would you do? What would you do that you're waiting to get done because you think you'll be here forever? And then what would you like to accomplish in your life? 3 things. What would you like to accomplish in your life? I'd like you to take a few minutes and write that down.
And that's in real estate?
Doesn't have to be real estate.
Okay.
Thank you for asking that question, though. A lot of our conversation will be centered around real estate. This is not a real estate class. This is a life class. You can apply these principles in every area of your life. Real estate's just a vehicle to help us achieve those things.
What are the other 2 questions?
You're just going to write 3 things you want to accomplish in your life.
Okay.
Yep, 3 things. And when you get your 3 things, I want you to take a look at those 3 things, and I want you to identify like the one thing. So I want you to identify the one that's most important to you and put a star next to it. We're going to come back to it in a minute. All right, I imagine by now everyone has their 3 things and have identified one thing. So now I want to ask, what's your goal? And you can just write this down. What's your goal? How are you doing with your goal? In other words, how are you doing with working towards that? How do you feel about your progress? And then what will your future look like if you do not change? So what was the goal? How are you doing? How do you feel about how you're doing? And then what will your future look like if you don't achieve your goal?
If you look at that goal and you think to yourself, if I don't achieve it, who cares? Might want to reconsider that.
Another thing I find when talking with agents, and if this is you, there's no judgment, I promise, it's just an observation. Another thing I find with working with agents is this can be an ego-driven industry, yes. Scoreboard's fun. A lot of times when I'm talking with people, they're chasing this number on a scoreboard, have no real meaning for it. Like they want to sell X number of homes because it puts them in the top of their office or in the top of their jurisdiction or whatever it is. But there's no real connection to what that actually does for them. So in other words, they're trading their time with their family to chase some arbitrary number or a scoreboard. So when you're evaluating your goal, I want you to ask yourself also, like, does this actually mean something to you? Right? Does it actually mean something to you? Now, if chasing an arbitrary number on a scoreboard is important to you, there's no judgment in that. Like, if that gets you excited and that drives you through and you're okay making the sacrifices necessary to hit that because that's the thing, great. But if it's not, I want you to get real with yourself and just think through it. Like, what's really important to you about this? How does your family benefit from this? How does your legacy benefit from this? I see pen still going and fingers still typing. I'm assuming you're participating in the activity, so I'm going to give you some more time. All right, I think everybody's wrapping up. Who has some ahas from the conversation you had so far this morning that they would like to share? Yes, ma'am.
I really liked, the one you said about relationships are the curves you do well.
That was in the video.
Oh,
That was in the video. I was like, did I say that? Did I drop that bomb? I didn't hear John say it. Yeah, it's in the video.
no, because it kind of really, sheds light on being open to meeting people, to talking to anyone, to nourishing those relationships. And not kind of say, oh, well, they screwed me over, so F you. To really not, kind of not to think that you can do this business in isolation. I think that was my aha moment.
You can, but it's a lot less painful when you do it and rely on your network.
But you have to, I mean, you have to talk to people.
Yep.
You can't get leads if you don't talk to new people you've never met before.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Any other ahas that someone would like to share? Yes.
I feel like it's kind of goes to the parking lot, and what I want to take out of it is some boundaries, not just for other people, but for yourself. And you, like you were saying, you didn't drive all the way back from Ocean City. You just set that boundary, you wanted to do it for your kids, so that kind of sounds like.
It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. No one got their real estate license and said, man, I can't wait to be a slave to my cell phone. No one, we've done it. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't teach that, right? So yeah, absolutely. Can I give you guys like a little one-liner to help with that? When you're meeting with your clients, you set the boundary. Like, I want you to know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, after 7 o'clock, I've dedicated this time to be with my family because I have found that my clients get the best version of me when my family also gets the best version of me. Okay? And if someone's not okay with that, I suggest you pat yourself and leave, and be okay with not working with that client.
I
okay?
can't argue with that.
Because, exactly, right? My clients get the best version of me when my family also gets the best version.
Most rational people will appreciate that,
They'll respect you for it.
and they'll respect you.
The people you want to work with will respect you for that.
And I don't want to work with irrational.
Yes. Any other ahas from anything we've talked about so far this morning? Keep ducking here. This projector keeps hitting me right in the pupil. Nothing else? All right, perfect.